Oh my God, they're large. 4.2 trillion. Trillion with a T, okay? And BlackRock is double that size.
Oh my God.
It's like between them,
A lot of
they
money.
got all the assets.
All
in
the
US.
money.
But what does this do for our bags? That's the big question here. Bankless Nation, it is the last Friday of June 2023, and it's time for something special, something we release every single Friday. David, what time is it?
Oh, it's time for the Friday Bankless Weekly Rollup, Ryan, where we cover the entire weekly news in crypto, which is always an ambitious endeavor, yet we persevere nonetheless, fully caffeinated. I had a coffee. I also had tea this morning, actually, as well. I had both.
Well, good for you. And I got to enjoy some of your coffee in your apartment where you live in person. For all the haters, for all the doubters out there, David, can you confirm for the people that Ryan Sean Adams is a physical, real human being?
You do have matter. There are atoms. There's still like room for you being an AI, but yes, Ryan and I were actually hanging out in person, doing some co-working in the Bankless offices this last week, which was pretty interesting.
It was fun.
The Bankless Nation is going to see some side-by-side, same camera, same microphone podcasts coming out on the YouTube.
Oh man, very, very, very rare stuff. We should put them as NFTs. They should be collectibles. But that's not all. We got some big topics of the week. Number one, Bitcoin hits a new all-time high. Wait, what? Did you write that?
Yeah.
It didn't hit all-time high. What do we mean?
Technically it did.
Okay. Okay, you'll have to explain that one to me. What else we got?
Staking also hits a new all-time high and formally passes supply on exchanges. We're going to get into the details around that. The Bitcoin ETF race turns up like 2 notches. It's getting really hot. zkSync drops the ZK stack, and there's a new airdrop targeting ETH stakers. So check out your eligibility.
That's me, David.
That's you.
I'm ETH staking.
Yeah, you getting your tokens?
I hope so. I can't wait for you to tell me what they are. How to do that. We also have something really cool that we want to share. This is more than friends and sponsors, all right? This is a group, this is a conference that David and I support. This is a Bankless plus Blockworks conference. It's called Permissionless. This is the only conference I go to every single year. This will be the next time you and I meet, I think, David. Tell us, what is going on at Permissionless? What are the dates? Who's speaking? Why should Bankless listeners be excited about this?
I've been heads down working with the Blockworks team to finalize this agenda, and man, it's really coming together. Okay, so Permissionless, September 11th through 13th in Austin, Texas. While everyone is paper handing the absolute F out of the United States, Permissionless is going to Texas. So we got Eric Voorhees. We got Representative
Is
Tom.
this even legal?
Yeah,
are we allowed to host a crypto conference
we
in
are
America?
allowed. Crypto people are allowed to assemble, and so we are fulfilling our patriotic duty by assembling in Texas. We have Tom Emmer and Hester Peirce on a panel together. So that's going to be pretty sick. Hazu is coming in. Kevin Owocki, Melton Demirs, Jim Bianco. It's going to be one half of a reunion of every single Bankless podcast episode, and one half of a reunion of every single Blockworks podcast episode. I'm pretty stoked for this. We're putting Solana, Cosmos, and Ethereum people all on a panel together to talk about, differences.
Coming together
and also fighting. Hollow from Polygon, Ben Jones from Optimism, Vance Spencer from Framework, Torgal from Scroll. So all the layer 2s, everyone who is fighting as a family will all be there at Permissionless. Look at this lineup, dude. Anatoly, Raj, Santiago, Jesse Pollux, Donnie, Michael Anderson, Tarun, Lee Jin, Jim Bianco. I already said his name, but he's worth saying it twice. Man, it's quite the lineup. It's quite the lineup.
Very exciting. So what should folks do if they want to get a ticket, David?
Oh, if you are a Bankless citizen, you should definitely use your code to get 30% off. You can find that code in the Discord or in the Bankless perks page. There's also a hackathon this year. So first time we're doing this hackathon this year and there's also a dev track as well, because we're really expanding the F out of Permissionless this year. So link in the show notes to get your ticket. If you subscribe to Bankless, you get 30% off, which is more than pays for your ticket. So that's what the rational economic agent would do there.
Do we have any of those?
I don't know if
we'll find out.
Any of those.
We'll find out. No, I have faith in the Bankless Nation. David, let's get to markets though. What's Bitcoin doing? You told me this was all-time high. I feel tricked.
Yeah, it's not in dollars, but it is an all-time high. It is at an all-time high.
Okay. Well, what price are we at this week?
Bitcoin started the week at $30,000, ending the week at $30,500. You know, nice and healthy. 3-0. You really got to appreciate that. 3-0.
Above 30K, I'm feeling great.
Yeah, above 30K, I'm just feeling just fine. I'm happy with that.
Of course, we were watching this on the KRAKEN charts play out. KRAKEN Pro, easy enough for me to use it. How about Ether this week? We up? We down?
Down a little bit. Ether started the week at 1885, ending the week at 1850, down 1.5%. So Bitcoin up 1%, and Ether down 1.5%.
Hanging out in the 1800s, huh?
Yeah.
The Victorian age.
Yeah.
Civil War era, 1850s, 1860s, you know? I don't know.
Every time Ether goes through the 1900s, I'm like, oh, my birthday. Birthday year.
All right, let's do Bitcoin ETH on the ratio.
We don't have to do that one. We can skip
no?
it.
We can't skip
it's down. It's
the weeks where you want to skip it are the weeks that they're more
that is a line that goes down and to the right. Yeah, it's definitely.
Wait, I'm scrolling out. It's still down.
Yeah, it still goes down.
When does it has it ever gone up?
Yes, it has gone up.
How about on the year? Let's scroll at least to there. Okay, I'm gonna get us.
On the year, it's just been flat ever since even like the start of the last bull market. So it's between 0.06 and like 0.08.
All right.
But yeah, definitely on the lower side of the ratio.
Bitcoin gaining some steam this week. Maybe that's why you told me it was at an all-time high, and we'll find out more about that, I think. But before we get there, total crypto market cap. What's that looking at on the week?
We are coming in at $1.2 trillion. So it's healthy.
Okay, the numbers in my head are Bitcoin over 30K, feeling good. ETH price over 2K, I'm feeling good. It's not there yet, but I'd feel good if that was the case. Crypto market cap over 1 trillion, I'm still feeling good. So overall, I mean, this bear market has been hard, I guess, but I don't know. At $1 trillion market cap, how hard has it actually been?
Yeah, that's the topic of discussion, I think. And we'll get into this further into the market section. First off, Bitcoin, new all-time high, $7.6 million Argentine pesos. So new Bitcoin all-time high for the country of Argentina, for the fiat currency of Argentina. Reminder, all fiat currencies go to zero, some just go faster than others. So yeah.
Do you feel rugged, Bankless listener? David told us all-time high. Now he's saying it's in Argentinian pesos.
Hey, it depends on your frame of reference, my man. Like, not only is that a little bit of an all-time high, that has screamed past the all-time high. This is just a good reminder of inflation and fiat currencies are bad. And the strength of the US dollar is a privilege, and all other fiat currencies are weaker than the dollar, and we shit on the dollar all the time.
Yeah, it is. And the only reason the dollar looks somewhat good at 5 to 10% inflation rate is because everything is like, a lot of other assets are so much worse. A lot of other fiat currencies are so much worse. That's why the dollar looks good sometimes. This is interesting, though. Argentine Congress approves IMF debt deal that would discourage crypto usage. So this is what I worry about when fiat-based countries, which is all of them, start to feel under threat from crypto. What do? When they start to bleed relative to other fiats, of course, but relative to crypto assets, what do? We haven't yet seen this kind of reaction in the US because I don't think we've bled hard enough. But this is interesting. Discouraging crypto use in Argentina. That seems like a big step. What do you think about this?
The quote from the article that stands out to me: "To further safeguard financial stability, we are taking important steps to discourage the use of cryptocurrencies with a view to prevent money laundering, informality, and disintermediation." They're trying to prevent disintermediation.
It's to help you.
I would like to encourage disintermediation. That's what I'm here. They're trying to prevent informality. What does that even mean?
I don't know. To me, you sound like a money launderer right now. You're talking like a money launderer.
I'm also like a terrorist.
Someone's going to clip that out of context. That's going to be fantastic. Preventing money laundering. That's the reason they'll give. It has nothing, of course, to do with the inflation of the peso in our country. Yeah. I look at this and I'm kind of like, coming to a fiat economy near you. Watch out for this kind of thing, right?
It's going to us, yeah.
Okay, this is interesting from Charlie. Bitcoin returns since 2010. This is on the year start, year end. What are we looking at in this table?
It's just a nice reminder of what Bitcoin does every single year, which is always, the answer to that is always large. either red or green. 2010, 9,900%. 2011, 1,400%. 2012, 186%. 2013, 5,500%. And then 2014, negative 58%. And like with negative 58%, that cuts all previous numbers, by half, right? And then 35%, 125%, 1,300%. And then 2018, negative 73%. So 2022, we had negative 65%. 2023, year to date, 85% in the green for Bitcoin. And so it's just like also the regularity of the red years.
Look at it, David. This is a Are you seeing the pattern here? Bankless list.
3 greens and a red. 3 greens and a red. 2010
and a red.
2010 doesn't count.
Ignore 2010.
3 greens and a red. So we had red in 2022. Year to date 2023, strongly in the green. I think we get 2 more greens and then we get a red. And so what does that mean?
Are you serious?
24 is green.
Okay.
Perhaps very green. 25 is very green. 2026 is in the red. So
is this TA, sir? Are we traders now?
I look forward to once again not selling in 2025 and then having this clipped out. And I said I was going to say I should sell in 2025.
I totally think this is the base case for how it plays out again.
Yeah.
And what this says is since Bitcoin has been in existence, it's only been unprofitable. You bought it at the beginning of the year. 3 years out of like the 12, 13 plus years it's been in existence.
Right.
Just 3 years. It's been a bad deal.
Let me tell you, the negative 60%, the 1,300% trump those.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, over time.
As appreciated.
I made this in Photoshop just before we started recording. The red part of this graph, which is this is the Bitcoin chart, that is the only part of the chart that is in the red. That is only the part. That's a lot of green.
So you're saying if you bought from about 2021
to halfway through 2022,
mid 2022, you're in the red. But if you bought any time before that, you're still in the money on your Bitcoin purchase.
And also anytime between now and halfway through 2022. So this is what I'm calling Schrodinger's market. So like, where are we in the bull market, bear market cycle? Are we just closing the 2022 gap? 2022 was just too bad, too much blood that we just mean reverted? Or are we at the beginning stages of a bull market? So if you go back to we can't do this because I didn't include it in the screenshot, but if you go back and look at the 2017 bull market, it started in 2015. It started that was when the up-only markets began. But in 2015, you felt like you were in a bear market because
it starts the year after the red year.
Right. Yes. And so right now we're in Schrodinger's market. Are we just recovering from the bear, or are we at the start of the bull? It's kind of the same thing, but you don't really know where you are, and it feels the same.
It does feel the same, but I feel like I know where I am. You know what I mean? It's probably just going to play out the same way it always does.
3 greens and a red.
This is pretty cool. Staked ETH now exceeds ETH on centralized exchanges. We're going bankless, fam. What's this chart?
This chart, we showed this last week and maybe even the week before, but these lines have touched. What are the lines? One line, the top line, which is now the bottom line, is Ether on centralized exchanges. Loser line. The winner line is the bottom line, which is now the top line, is Ether being staked. So more staked than on exchanges.
Is this the flippening, sir?
This is a flippening.
Okay, not the flippening.
The flippening before the flippening. Of course, I'm still predicting. 20 million Ether is currently staked with a 2.9 million Ether of queued Ether to stake. Wow.
That's a lot of ETH waiting outside the club.
15% of all staked Ether is in the queue. That's insane.
It just keeps growing. They just keep staking. When are they going to stop staking, David?
When are they going to stop staking?
What is this from Poopman? This is it looks like a fantastic, very credible account here. Poopman, what's he got for us?
Here, just talking about the growth of ETH staking. It has slowed down in the last 30 days, but that's after the acceleration of post-merge. He says, I'm very optimistic about the LSD market. He has checked Dune Analytics and found some interesting stats. The fastest growing Swell network with 58% growth, and followed by Figment with 57% growth. And then the largest outflows of Ether is Huobi and Bitstamp, 2 centralized exchanges. He follows and says, Swell means to be the staking superstar out of the bear market because its successful Pearl incentive campaign is like the airdrop teasing campaign. Meanwhile, centralized exchanges such as Coinbase and Huobi are getting a downturn likely due to regulatory issues. So this is just talking about some data out of the staking as a service industry. Swell has a lot of growth, but although it is still very small, so like it's got like 28,000. It's still a sliver of overall ETH stake.
Like it's one of these tiny slivers over here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know where it is, but it's certainly not the 31% of Lido.
Yeah.
Or the still the 9.5%. But it is good. It is great to see that competition entering the market. David, what do we have coming up next?
Coming up next, zkSync releases the ZK stack, and why it's got me all hot and bothered. Boy, do I love biomimicry systems. The ETF war heats the absolute F up. Fidelity, ARK Invest, VanEck all enter the race, but ARK jumps to first in line with this one simple trick. How did they do it? How did they do it? Yeah. Yeah, so all of that and more coming up as soon as we talk to some of these fantastic sponsors that make this show possible, especially KRAKEN, the place that we see all these beautiful charts every time we go through the numbers on the YouTube. If you do not have a KRAKEN account, consider clicking the link in the show notes while you listen to us talk about it right now. KRAKEN Pro has easily become the best crypto trading platform in the industry. The place I use to check the charts and the crypto prices, even when I'm not looking to place a trade. On KRAKEN Pro, you'll have access to advanced charting tools, real-time market data, and lightning-fast trade execution, all inside their spiffy new modular interface. KRAKEN's new customizable modular layout lets you tailor your trading experience to suit your needs. Pick and choose your favorite modules and place them anywhere you want in your screen. With KRAKEN Pro, you have that power. Whether you are a seasoned pro or just starting out, join thousands of traders who trust KRAKEN Pro for their crypto trading needs. Visit pro.kraken.com to get started today. MANTLE, formerly known as BitDAO, is the first DAO-led Web3 ecosystem, all built on top of MANTLE's first core product, the MANTLE Network, a brand new high-performance Ethereum Layer 2 built using the OP stack, but uses EigenLayer's data availability solution instead of the expensive Ethereum Layer 1. Not only does this reduce MANTLE Network's gas fees by 80%, but it also reduces gas fee volatility, providing a more stable foundation for MANTLE's applications. The MANTLE Treasury is one of the biggest DAO-owned treasuries, which is seeding an ecosystem of projects from all around the Web3 space for MANTLE. MANTLE already has sub-communities from around Web3 onboarded, like Game7 for Web3 gaming, and Bybit for TVL and liquidity and on-ramps. So if you want to build on the MANTLE network, MANTLE is offering a grants program that provides milestone-based funding to promising projects that help expand, secure, and decentralize MANTLE. If you want to get started working with the first DAO-led Layer 2 ecosystem, check out MANTLE at mantle.xyz and follow them on Twitter at 0xmantle.
A big release from zkSync this week. David, what are we looking at?
zkSync releases the ZK Stack, a modular framework for building sovereign ZK-powered hyperchains based on zkSync's open source code. So ZK Stack sounds a little bit like OP Stack. If you're using the OP Stack as a frame of reference, you're off to a great start.
What's a stack? Why do they call them stacks?
Yeah, it's like a tech stack. It's like a technology stack. And so the ZK Stack is what does zkSync do? zkSync does zero-knowledge cryptography, but as a layer 2. The one thing that they really do is their ZK circuit. What is zkSync? They make the ZK circuit. Everything else about zkSync is kind of a commodity. They settle to Ethereum. They use Ethereum data. They use other parts, other components that could produce a layer 2. The rest of what that makes up the zkSync layer 2, zkSync era, is more or less a commodity. They make the ZK circuit. So what is the ZK stack? It is zkSync's ZK circuit as a framework where you can take in the rest of the components of what makes a layer 2 and build your own layer 2.
Build your own chain, fam.
Build a ZK workshop is what it is. And so the ZK stack allows teams to build their custom hyper chain, which is zkSync's fractal scaling branding, a fully trustless, cheap, asynchronous connectivity to the rest of the hyperchain ecosystem. Now, this is the secret sauce that the ZK element has that the optimistic rollups worlds do not have. ZK circuits, chains that all use the ZK circuits have a crazy amount of composability right out of the gate because that is the magic of ZK. And so ZK chains, like ZK chain A, that uses the same circuit as ZK chain B, have a ton of composability, tailwinds, and benefits.
Will it be like you have? Will it be like you have the asset on the same chain? Will it be that easy to move from chain to chain? And also, if I can fit two questions in one here.
Oh boy,
is this a layer 3? That's what we're basically talking about here.
Both answers are kind of maybe yes. So to take the simple one first, is this a layer 3? It can be a layer 3. It is a open framework for deploying chains. You want to deploy a layer 2? You want to deploy a layer 3? You want to deploy a layer N? You want to deploy a chain between chains. And fractal hyper scaling, think of it like just a root system of chains. Like it starts to, layer 3 is a very like number 3. Like it's not so canonical.
It's just more like a tree branch, right?
Tree branch, exactly. Like, root system, yeah.
Branches of trees.
Yeah. What was the first question that you had? I don't know, I can do one question at a time.
Yeah, well, the first question was, David, I can't remember. It's been one of those weeks, my friend.
Yes, it definitely has. Okay, so moving on, maybe I'll think of it. ZK Stack, lightweight sequencer with low latency of sequencing. That's the ZK element. Apps that can interact without the trust assumption of bridges, also the ZK element. Oh,
I know.
Yeah?
Yeah. I was asking you if the experience will be like, I have my assets on the same chain. What the experience is like from going from like one ZK enabled chain on the ZK stack to another.
Right. The answer is like kind of it depends. The easy answer is yes. The harder answer is like yes, and there takes a bunch of additional like supporting infrastructure and development and abstraction to get to that point. But the answer is we are moving there, and this is a very big step towards moving there. There's other things like we need EtherScan to allow for when you like, rather than you have ARBIScan and OptiScan, and there's for every single like ecosystem there's its own version of EtherScan. We need optimizations and scaffolding like EtherScan to be able to work with networks of chains, and they can do that, but they need to do that.
Well, right? I don't need a bridge.
You do not need a bridge in the ZK world. You do not need a bridge. Same thing with the Optimism superchain, but that even has even further challenges because they don't have the ZK element. But there is a part in this rollup that talks about the ZK world of the optimistic chains. Anyways, okay. A closed private chain with connectivity to the ecosystem, that just means, hey, deploy a ZK chain, you're connected to the zkSync hyperchains, but it's still your chain with a native way, a way to issue a native token as that token's base. So that is all of what I am excited about. This is my tweet, the ZK stack shall inherit the internet. What do I mean by this? Okay, so this is why both OP stacks and ZK stacks just like get me going. It's because these systems, they're meant to be forked. They're like, both Optimism and zkSync are saying, fork the absolute F out of us. Deploy your chains. Deploy more chains everywhere. Just use the same standard, because if you use the same standard, then the network effects around these standards grow. Optimism wants you to use their optimistic tech stack standard called the OP stack. zkSync wants you to use their ZK tech stack standard called the ZK stack. And that's what you get. You got the ZK and the OP, the Optimism. And so the idea is that they are just optimizing for what they are doing best, and then they're letting the rest of the internet express their modules, their desires for how they want their chain to be expressed. And so this allows these ZK chains or OP stack chains to find corners of the internet because they're so customizable that chain deployers can make them fit into whatever corner of the internet that they want to go. So the whole line of like the ZK stack shall inherit the internet is saying that like this is the scaffolding that's needed in order to propagate chains so that we can take the internet and put it on Ethereum.
There's an entire episode on this.
Yes.
Is there not?
Yes. Oh, I did an episode on this with Alex Glukowski and Anthony Rose from zkSync, talking all about this. And so we talk a lot about the nature of ZK as a technology, just like the principles and the values that ZK tech as a technology embody. And then we go into the ZK stack, which is how those values get scaled out to this scale of the internet.
One thing I would add to all of this is I know we're talking about some releases from zkSync and also Optimism next this week. Polygon, ARBITRUM, they have their own versions of this as well. I mean, all of these large layer 2 ecosystems are moving to a world where it's very easy to spin up your own chain. They all have slightly different approaches towards getting there. And it's very, very exciting to see. So why don't you tell us about Optimism? What are they doing this week?
The cool thing about what this is, Ryan, this week is that this actually is an Optimism. This is O of One Labs, who I don't actually know the name of that, but I think they're associated with the MENA protocol, hence this announcement. They say O of One Labs is excited to submit a proposal to Optimism for the application of our zero-knowledge proof stack to OP stack fraud proofs. This application is built on the groundbreaking MIPS ZKVM we're building as part of the MENA protocol roadmap. Why is this cool? We've created Kimchi, our Plonkish proving system. This is cryptography words, to help bring ZKPs to the Web3 and Web 2 worlds. And so basically, the OP stack is like a bunch of modules. Every chain is a module for the Optimism superchain, and OP Labs is submitting their version of fault proofs into the world of Optimism. And so this is like a path forward for the OP stack to gain a ZK module inside of the OP superchain world. Does that make sense?
It does, I think. So does this mean an OP chain could potentially be a ZK EVM OP chain?
So yes, an OP chain can accept a ZK module, and then part of this is the cool thing, part of the superchain, all of the hyperchains that makes up the Optimism superchain, most are going to be optimistic rollups. Some can be ZK rollups, and it can all be part of the optimistic superchain. Technically, this is a very hard thing to parse apart, and the Optimism team knows this, and they all are taking on the challenges of like, how do we make a composable superchain like head on? Ben Jones from Optimism has this thing that he's working on to help like define how does the superchain grow. But man, does it feel like the layer 2 summer, the layer 2 ecosystem is just on fire right now.
Yeah, it's really cool. It looks like Optimism as well has renamed Optimism to OP Mainnet, which is sort of interesting. This mainnet area for all of these OP chains, it's pretty cool. I guess one takeaway from all of this is I feel like this time, the next bull market, we will have all of the block space we need.
Oh yeah.
Right?
We have so much block space. And if we need more, it's easy to get more now.
It's so easy to get more. Yeah. Now, making that composable, making that private, making the UX good, still some issues, of course. But we got the block space, right? So low gas fee environments is going to be the case. Now, I feel like we need the apps.
Yes.
This reminds me a little bit.
No one's building apps. Everyone is building chains. No one is building apps.
It's like feast or famine here. Last time during the bull run, we had all the apps. We didn't have enough block space. Now we have all the block space and we don't have enough apps. But you know,
someone please build an app.
Consume some block space. I mean, but okay, zoom out. This is kind of what happened with the internet, right? Yeah. Basically, you had kind of the early internet, and we're like, we need more bandwidth. Billions and hundreds of billions of dollars went into bandwidth investment, internet infrastructure investment. Then what happened? .com bust. Right. All the money kind of evaporated, and we're like, now we have all of this bandwidth, but we don't have the apps for the internet, right? Guess what happened? The apps came because there was high bandwidth environment. We got things like YouTube, for instance, video streaming, like Netflix online. We got all of the high bandwidth apps after that. So I think the builders will catch up. They're taking notice. The apps will come, David, never fear.
It is worth just taking a step back and just reflecting, man, like we do not know what's coming next, but hey, at least we have the bandwidth to support some really, really crazy ideas next bull market. Okay, disclosures. Both Ryan and I are advisors to both Optimism and zkSync. I'm a big fan of tech stacks. I'm a big fan of biomimicry. There's a video if you want to learn more about just the nature of tech stacks, the OP stack video on YouTube from Bankless. Just type in OP stack Bankless. It's the only video on YouTube that talks about the OP stack.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got that market cornered, David?
Yeah, the 4,000 people have watched it. Hey, but you can front run the opportunity. Yeah, so advisors to both Optimism and zkSync. We also talked about Swell earlier. We also are angel investors into Swell as well. Okay.
We like the staking. We like the layer 2s.
We like staking. We like layer 2s. We like Ethereum.
All right, David, I'm feeling bold. It's the bear market. What do I got to lose, huh? Down bad already. Make a prediction. I think this is the year of the Bitcoin ETF. Spot Bitcoin ETF.
Approval.
2023.
Approval.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is just me going out on a limb here, okay? I have no knowledge of this, but just putting some things together. I feel like politically, Gensler has to approve a Bitcoin ETF. This is his kind of backpedaling moment to prove he is a generous God and he's not the unreasonable tyrant that the finance and crypto industry paints him as. So he'll give us this gift, the gift of Gensler, and he'll approve an ETF. Also, some of his buddies have been submitting lately. I know you guys mentioned BlackRock, right? And now here we have Fidelity preparing to submit a Bitcoin ETF. Fidelity knows what's up. And they are doing the BlackRock play as well. What's the news here?
Fidelity is getting ready to submit their own spot Bitcoin ETF. So Fidelity, like, I don't know how big it is, but it's large, joining the queue to get a Bitcoin ETF. Yes, it's real big. This is also not Fidelity's first attempt. In 2021, they filed. It was denied by the SEC. And so, like, right after BlackRock, Fidelity joins the queue. And then, interestingly, ARK Invest, Cathie Wood, They also have submitted a Bitcoin ETF request. They haven't gotten theirs denied. Theirs is just sitting in purgatory limbo. But here's what's interesting, and here's how they are getting to the front of the queue, and why like ARK might win this thing. At least like win this thing is like they might get approved first because they had their spot Bitcoin ETF paperwork filed first, and they've amended their file work, their 19B/4. Yeah. For whatever that is, for a spot Bitcoin ETF to include a surveillance sharing agreement with the SEC, which is the words that came from the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. And
someone gave them a heads up that they need this verbiage, I think.
Well, maybe someone gave them a heads up. Maybe they're just saying, hey, BlackRock is going to get approved. And so let's make sure that if they get approved, we also get approved, and copy and paste their filing and make it look like our filing. What is a surveillance sharing agreement? It involves the sharing of information about market trading activity, clearing activity, and customer identification to protect against the possibility of market manipulation. If this is the thing that forces Gary Gensler's hand to approve the BlackRock ETF, then therefore ARK will get theirs approved, but ARK is still filed. And so ARK will get approved first. And so that's the gambit that ARK is making. Not just ARK, Van Eck has also refiled for a spot Bitcoin ETF last week, which also includes the intent to add the surveillance sharing agreement. So we have 3 large trad players submitting all of the same spot Bitcoin ETF file paperwork.
Yeah.
And this assumption is like Gary Gensler is either corrupt or going to approve it.
Well, look,
he's definitely corrupt.
Van Eck is pretty large, right?
Yeah.
80 billion. You know, of course, Cathie Wood, ARK Invest is pretty large. Okay. You asked about Fidelity earlier. Mm-hmm. Guess what they are, David?
Large.
Oh my God, they're large. 4.2 trillion. Trillion with a T. Okay. And BlackRock is double that size.
Oh my God.
It's like between them,
a lot of
they
money.
Got all the assets.
They have all the money. They have all the money.
Like this is a tremendous amount of TradFi, Gary's buddies pressure that is raining down on him. And you know that Gary's posture has been like, oh yeah, Bitcoin. It's the only commodity there. Right. He hasn't been willing to extend that to any other asset.
Oh yeah, I forgot that he doesn't hate Bitcoin.
There you go. That's what I'm just putting together, and that's why I'm making that prediction. But what does this do for our bags? That's the big question here. What does this do for the price? Does an ETF matter? Of course, like I don't get super excited about it because it's not Bankless, and yet it is a way to onboard retail and increase the liquidity of Bitcoin, the asset. So there are some good things about this. What are we looking at from Meltem?
And this is Meltem Demirors, who I think is probably one of the most perfect people to really analyze some of this stuff. So the conversation is Bitcoin ETFs all over the place. These are pipes. We need money to actually flow through these pipes. We can build the pipes, but we need money to flow through them in order to materially impact the price of Bitcoin. So Meltem just puts on her analyst hat and asks, where is that money going to come from? And so she goes, so financial institutions are building products and services to access Bitcoin, but where will the inflows come from? In my opinion, the biggest untapped market for Bitcoin is tax advantage retirement accounts. The United States retirement market is $35 trillion and has doubled in the last decade. And so we have 2 circles here. We have the total U.S. retirement AUM, $35 trillion. And then we have the amount that's allocated to crypto, which is between $500 million and $1 billion. To say that these are 2 circles doesn't do us justice.
The other is a speck.
One is taking up half the page, and the other one is a period that is in the middle of the page.
It looks like the sun versus the earth.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen this illustration.
Yeah, right.
Real life size.
Yeah.
So a lot of room for growth here is what that means. And that could be a positive inflow into Bitcoin. Maybe that's why, David, Bitcoin price has been pumpy a little bit this week.
It's pumpy because the traders are buying it because they think this is going to happen, but this is going to take a while. Yeah, at least that's my hope. Meltem, this is a thread, so we are just reading the first tweet of this thread. If you want to read further analysis from Meltem, there's a link in the show notes to go access this tweet. But coming up next, we're going to talk about MicroStrategy magically discovering hundreds of $millions, and then they turn it into Bitcoin, of course. There's some Azuki drama, which I don't know if you care about, Ryan. I don't really care about it either.
I care deeply.
Okay, we're talking about it. Binance claps back versus the SEC, and then airdrop season for Ethereum stakers. Man, these are some fun words. All of this and more, but first a moment to talk about some of these fantastic sponsors that make the show possible, especially MetaMask's brand new spiffy portfolio feature. We all love MetaMask, and now it can tell you everything about all of the the things that you have in your MetaMask wallets. We're going to go hear from them right now. MetaMask has something new. Introducing MetaMask Portfolio. MetaMask Portfolio is the best way to view your crypto portfolio from a holistic level. See everything across all the chains all at once. In your portfolio, MetaMask will report the aggregate value of all the assets in your MetaMask wallets, and even the other wallets you import too. But MetaMask Portfolio isn't just a passive portfolio viewer, it is a place to do all of the money verbs that make DeFi so powerful. You can buy, swap, bridge, and stake your crypto assets. So not only is MetaMask the easiest place to see your wallets in aggregate, but it's also a powerful battle station for all of your DeFi moves. So go check out your MetaMask portfolio, because it's waiting for you to open it up. Check it out at portfolio.metamask.io.
You know Uniswap, it's the world's largest decentralized exchange with over $1.4 trillion in trading volume. You know this because we talk about it endlessly on Bankless. It's Uniswap, but Uniswap is becoming so much more. Uniswap Labs just released the Uniswap mobile wallet for iOS, the newest, easiest way to trade tokens on the go. With the Uniswap wallet, you can easily create or import a new wallet, buy crypto on any available exchange with your debit card with extremely low fiat on-ramp fees, and you can seamlessly swap on Mainnet, Polygon, ARBITRUM, and Optimism. On the Uniswap mobile wallet, you can store and display your beautiful NFTs, and you can also explore Web3 with the in-app search features, market leaderboards, and price charts, or use Wallet Connect to connect to any Web3 application. So you can now go directly to DeFi with the Uniswap mobile wallet. Safe, simple custody from the most trusted team in DeFi. Download the Uniswap wallet today on iOS. There's a link in the show notes.
David,
What's up?
what's Zuzalu?
Zuzalu is a
Did
place
I say
of...
it right?
Zuzalu, yeah.
After weeks, many, it took me a while to get Zuzalu correct.
Well, there's actually, that's up for debate. There's no consensus on how you, Zuzalu or
It's like
Zuzalu.
ETH versus ETH.
Yes. Well, there's no debate on that one. It's
Okay. Anymore,
It's
there's
ETH.
a Schelling point, though.
Yes,
What's the
correct.
Schelling point around Zuzalu? Did I say it right?
Zuzalu, yeah. Or Zuzalu. It's one of these two Schelling points. Yeah. Okay. Do you remember when the background of my podcast was not my home in Brooklyn and it was instead this kind of sterile looking apartment?
Boy, do I ever. Internet connections.
Yeah.
Lots of fun.
So I was in Montenegro for 2 months at this thing called Zuzalu. And if you scroll down, you'll start to get a little bit of a taste of this.
It's a blog post on Bankless,
Yes.
right?
Yes. So this is a blog post on Bankless. If you want to know and learn about everything that I was doing at Zuzalu and what Zuzalu is, this blog post is for you. I like this line that I wrote. Vitalik from Ethereum, Emad from Stable Diffusion, and Grimes from Grimes all walk on a stage together.
From Grimes. So Grimes, the artist, also
Yes.
has been previously associated with Elon. Yes.
Yes, correct. And they all walk on a stage together. And no, this is not a punchline. This was Zuzalu. So this was the AI Crypto Week at Zuzalu, of which there were 8 weeks. There was Longevity Week. There was Synthetic Biology Week. There was ZK Cryptography Week. There was Public Goods Week, Network States and Coordinations. And so this was a social experiment of Zuzalu, like a 2-month-long pop-up temporary community where a bunch of frontier technologies came together. And so
Sounds like a cult, David.
yeah, they
Was
called
it a cult?
they called us a cult. They called us a cult. Like we didn't hate that. We thought it was funny. I recorded 18 interviews while I was there. So not only am I telling you about it in this article about what Zuzalu was, but I'm showing you with like 10 plus hours of content and just my
Is
experience.
this you on a stage, man?
Yes.
I love this posture.
Yeah.
You
So
get energized, huh, when you're talking in person.
well, so okay, this was me presenting Web3 to the Montenegrin government officials. And so I had a 10-minute talk. They say like 10 minutes, and I was elected to do the Web3, why Web3 pitch. And right before my talk, I was like, okay, you no longer have 10 minutes, you have 3 minutes. And I'm like, nice. And so I just started yelling, dude.
In squat stance.
In squat stance, yeah. And so there was some like murmuring about what the hell are all these like Ethereum people and other industry people all doing at Zuzalu or this place in Montenegro. There was like this social contract of like, hey, we're going to all be heads down and focus on Zuzalu and then we'll broadcast about it. Now we're broadcasting about it. And so all of my content, all the talks are now out. You can read about Zuzalu in this blog post. It's at bankless.com. Yes.
Look, guys, let me just tell you the gift that David has just given us. So if you can't go all the way to Montenegro or you weren't invited or whatever, it was too much. David is giving a sneak peek to, I think, some of the best people, best speakers, the best ideas, the best projects that came there. And there's like a series of videos. So in this post alone, David said you recorded 18.
18,
in this post alone, there's 8 of them. Okay, the first one's with Vitalik.
No, there's all 18. They're combined into the 8 episodes. So 18. Okay. So there's 8 themes, 18 episodes consolidated into 8 episodes. Each one of these is like almost 2 hours long.
This is a gift.
Yeah.
This is a gift. So go click the link in the show notes if you want some extra Bankless content. If you want some frontier tech content, this is the place to get it. I can't wait to dive into these. Is there one? I'm gonna start with the Vitalik one, but what's your favorite after that?
Oh God, there's a handful. So I have my favorites in each of them. Primavera de Filippi and her definition of coordinations I thought was really good. Drew Endy, the father of modern biology and synthetic biology, he's in that one. I was walking with Drew. He's like this older gentleman, Stanford professor. And he was like, I've never really done a podcast, but I've always wanted to. This one guy, Lex, emailed me about doing a podcast, but he wanted me to fly out to Austin. So I didn't respond. And I'm like, bro, you didn't respond to Lex Friedman, man. That's hilarious. Anyways, I got him on an interview. And so the idea here, and this is the Zuzalu pitch. How were these technologies selected? All of these technologies are going to fundamentally change the future. They're going to change society. Like longevity is going to happen. People are going to have the choice to live forever. Synthetic biology, we're going to be able to grow our materials organically. That's going to change the world. All of these are technological tidal waves that are going to impact your life, Bankless listener. So all of this Zuzalu content is for you to front run the opportunity, for you to be ready for that tidal wave that is inevitably coming. I feel like we're in the middle of the AI tidal wave. In the future, synthetic biology will hit us as a society. Like
I feel like one of these big ones hits like every 5 years.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and so get ready.
So this is just about understanding the technological tectonic shifts that are all being built. And so with all of these contents, you'll be prepared. You don't have to enjoy every single one. You can pick and choose your flavor. It's a choose your own adventure. But they are at your disposal.
David, is it airdrop season?
It is airdrop season.
We teased that a little bit.
It's always airdrop
Diva
season.
DAO. We're proud to present the Diva DAO. TLDR, the Diva DAO is being formed with an initial distribution to 15,000 unique Ethereum stakers and ecosystem participants. This is an ETH staking protocol, pretty high in the decentralization spectrum. What's going on here?
Yeah, very strong commitments to Ethereum values, the Ethereum protocol. They want it to be built as a public good. They want it to be built as immutable as possible. One of the things that excites me about Diva is their commitment towards the DVT ecosystem, decentralized validator technology, aka squad staking. And they've been working with people like the Ethereum Staker Group and others as well. The airdrop has gone to, of course, Diva OG contributors, Ethereum stakers from ETH Staker, Rocket Pool, SSV, Lido, and DAppNode, community members from Gnosis, Uniswap, ENS, Aave, Maker, Aragon, and other DAOs, and then the Ethereum staking dev and ecosystem contributors. 15,000 addresses are eligible. You can track your address at earni.fi. Can go and plug in your address because we've got this Merkle tree built into Earnify, so it'll tell you. And if you're already a member, subscriber to Earnify, you already have your Ethereum address there, you probably already got an email address saying, hey, you have the new Diva airdrop. And so that is in your inbox if you are a Earnify subscriber. If you are not, you should 100% sign up. There is a link in the show notes. I listened to the Diva Twitter space with Superfizz this morning. Pretty impressed. I mean, everyone seems to really like what they're doing.
Yeah, Superfizz is a notable ETH staker. He says, I'm offering my service as a Diva staking delegate. I am encouraged to see Diva soliciting input from the community. I want to contribute my efforts to build another strong staking option. I mean, the whole idea is trying to decentralize staking a little bit more. So I guess Superfizz is signing up to be a Diva.
You have to be a diva.
We always knew he was a diva.
Did you mean to say that?
I mean, that's got to be the meme they're going with, right? What a wasted opportunity if not. Call them the divas. You want to be a diva? There you go. Disclosure 2, David and I are angel investors in Diva. We think it's a pretty cool staking.
I guess we're divas as well.
NFT stuff, Azuki, David.
I'm sure you were. Oh wait, you weren't on the edge of your seat following this Azuki drama.
No, I wasn't, but I want you to tell me all about it. So, what cool things are happening in the NFT space this week?
What cool things are happening? I hate that I had to spend 30 minutes of my morning getting caught up about.
But you did though for us. You took that for us. Okay, so I saw some drama from Azuki. There's some sort of drop that, or some sort of mint that got some bad press. What happened?
Okay, so Azukis, you know what Azukis like? They're the anime PFP, well, like pretty high floor price. It was like 13, 14, 15 ETH before this drop.
Like definitely a top 10 project. Right?
Definitely top 5, project. I think. Yeah, like very strong, very strong. Yes. So they have been teasing this Azuki Elementals drop mint. And so the Elementals was a brand new project. They have sometimes NFT, PFP projects, they do further mints because my cynical take is like, we need another idea. Let's do another mint. I don't know. So they do it. So they had their the Genesis collection, which are the Azukis, and then Beans, which are one of these like pets things for Azukis. They're doing Azuki Elementals. And so 20,000 NFTs, 10,000 of them were airdropped to Azuki holders during, so 20,000 new NFTs, 10,000 Azuki, the Genesis ones, 10,000 of the new 20,000 elementals were airdropped to Azuki holders. The remaining 10,000 elementals were sold out at 2 ETH eacher to anyone that owned a Azuki or a Bean. So being on the whitelist means you had to already be in the Azuki community. So $38 million was raised by the Azukis from their community, Wow. Yes. So
that's a big number.
It's a very big number. It's a very big number. Yes.
So they must be valuable.
So they were sold for 2 ETH, and then they were revealed. And so the metadata.
So you didn't know what they were.
You didn't know what they were. Yes. Okay. They were teased. There was like promo graphics, so people kind of knew what they were.
Well,
but
they
didn't.
Right?
Yeah.
It's under wraps.
Yes.
So this is kind of the graphic. Okay.
And so they were released. And so on the left, we have these are Azukis. These are the Genesis collections. These are the very highly priced ones. And then if you swap to the right, these are the Elementals.
Okay.
Left, here's the Azukis. Here are the Elementals. Okay, let's go back to the Azukis. And back to the Elementals.
This is Pam from The Office. They're the same picture.
They're the same picture. They're the same things.
It looks very similar.
They are the almost identical.
The differences?
There's not much. I mean, there's like there's not even stylistic changes. It's just like marginally different properties.
Okay.
Go to the next one. Here's the meme that sums this up a bunch. Here's one of the captchas. So like select all the images that are elemental, and it's just like, you just don't know. You don't know.
Wait, is there some like? I guess there's a social contract that if you're releasing another 20,000, which is what they were releasing, right? PFPs, that there would be an entirely kind of different collection,
right?
Rather than a clone of all of the attributes and everything else that you've previously done.
Yeah.
Is that what everyone expected?
It's not a perfect clone. Like there are differences, but you can't, without deeply knowing, unless you're an Azuki expert, they just look the fucking same.
Okay.
And so as a result of this, the Azuki Elementals minted at 2 are now trading below the 2 ETH mint. The actual Azuki Genesis went from 15 ETH or 14th floor down to like 12. And so like market cap was lost. The community's not happy.
They're not happy. Okay, this is Jeff Morris. I don't know who Jeff is, but he says, if any e-commerce site sold 38 million of merchandise in a pre-sale, this would be headline news. Let's not forget that these are digital products with incredible margins for creators, but NFTs are dead is the popular narrative. I guess that's the bull case, right?
That is the bull case, but it's just like,
we sold 38 million in NFTs?
Is this what we as an industry are going to beat our chests about? It's like, we made $38 million of selling clones of
I don't know.
Stuff.
Can't adults buy what they want, David?
Yes, they can. Well, they want? Yes, they can, but they didn't know what they were like taking it on faith that the Azuki team were going to do something that wasn't dilutive of the Genesis. I don't know. Anyways, we are not NFT experts. If you want to listen to, I'm sure Carly Riley has a much more informed take, so listen to Overpriced JPEGs.
There you go. But we are Bitcoin experts. Let me just say that. All right.
Are we?
I know that this week MicroStrategy has acquired an additional 12,333 Bitcoin for a grand total of $347 million at an average price of 28K per Bitcoin. Is Saylor trying to own all the Bitcoin?
Where does he get this money from? Is MicroStrategy that profitable?
I mean, it's just kind of like it used to be business intelligence technology, like software as a service. It used to be one of the leaders, but is not quite like market leader these days. I don't know. It's now become a Bitcoin hedge fund, I guess, or just a Bitcoin hold fund, I should say.
Okay, we don't have this in the agenda, so this is bitcointreasuries.net. I'm just reading out some stats. Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, is in the green.
What?
They are up 1.03x. They are up 3% on their Bitcoin purchases. Their cost basis is 4.5 billion. Their current value is 4.66 billion.
Do you know what's funny is for everyone making fun of him? I've never been one of like I think it's funny that he's just using a publicly traded company to dollar cost average in and buy this thing. I just think that's funny that he buys so consistently. But I've always thought that this would pay off for him.
It's gonna
Can
work.
I show you why, David?
It's gonna work.
I'm gonna show you why.
Yeah.
This is why.
That's why.
Going back to the markets.
2 greens and a red. 3 greens and a red. 3
Saylor has
greens
been
and a red.
looking at this table and he's like, okay, if I don't time things, I just dollar cost average in, where's it going to leave me? And I think the answer is he's going to make money on it.
I know you just said if I don't time things, but man, did he time that poorly. he started in the last green before the red, which is not where you want to start buying.
No, but that's why, you have to buy more. That's the only solution to getting out of. If you have a high cost basis, you just keep buying until you lower that. Anyway, that's that for Bitcoin. What do we got here, David?
This is the MSTR price. Okay, so this is just to round out this conversation.
MicroStrategy stock price.
Yes. So before all of the Bitcoin exposure, before Michael Saylor engaged in Bitcoin shenanigans with MicroStrategy, the asset, the equity, was trading at $130. Today, it is at, drumroll, $330.
Oh, okay.
So it's like almost 3x. And like not only that, but it hit over $1,000 during the bull market. So like even shareholders who are like, Michael Saylor, what the hell are you doing to this company? They can't be complaining. MicroStrategy, the equity has almost tripled. No wonder he's getting all this money to buy Bitcoin.
It can't be the same shareholders. It's a totally different investment profile. You're like, I'm buying a business intelligence software company versus like, I'm buying Bitcoin basically under a publicly traded symbol.
Yeah.
Anyway, kind of fun. David, we said earlier there's pressure for Gensler to approve an ETF. I think this is some of the reason why. Christian Carlo was the former chair of the CFTC. He says this: "Greetings from Tokyo, where the headline in Japan Times says exactly what I'm hearing. Here's the headline: Crypto tumult in US may be boon for Japan. US's loss is Japan's gain." Japan is moving pretty aggressively in a positive way towards regulating crypto, David. We saw, I believe Brian Armstrong tweeted this out. Last time we talked to Brian Armstrong, actually, he was in Japan, right? So things are happening in Japan. It's not just Japan. HSBC Hong Kong now lets customers trade Bitcoin and Ether ETFs. What? It's possible to get an ETF approved
ETF? Nice.
in Hong Kong? We can't have that product in the US. It's too dangerous for retail. The UK, this just came out before we hit record. Crypto stablecoin rules receive royal assent, passing into law, okay? The Financial Services and Markets Act of the 2023, this is in the UK, classifies crypto as a regulated financial activity. And King Charles just gave his approval on that. I guess that's what happens in the UK.
Thank God.
You get the final blessing from the king. And so the king said yes. And what's the US doing in the backdrop of this, right? These other countries, these other nations, other geographies are competing against the United States for crypto. And so they're rolling out sensible regulatory frameworks and they're trying to win that business over. What's your take here?
The US is just fumbling. What is the US doing? We're fumbling. I mean, hey, like US has been in the lead for a long time. Well, I guess it's
innovator's dilemma. This is always what happens, isn't it?
Well, I think it's it's really nice of us to really just cede first place to the rest of the world.
It's so stupid.
Good, so generous of us to help.
I think this is another example of like, I just feel like the people who are governing the United States right now are just not making long-term decisions.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not good for the US, but good for these other jurisdictions. Meanwhile, Binance is doing some things to push back against the SEC. What is this, David?
Binance claps back. So this is a Meta lawman who goes and says, Binance has gone on the offensive against the SEC in the federal court case, accusing the SEC of violating court rules by making statements outside of the court that are false, designed to harm Binance US customers and to taint the jury pool. So
taint the jury pool?
Yeah. So after entry of an order agreed to by the parties, Binance argues that the SEC issued a misleading press release claiming that Binance had secured emergency relief, that CZ had commingled and diverted customer assets, and 3, that the order was essential to protecting investor assets. And when questioned by the judge repeatedly, SEC attorneys were unable to point to any evidence that CZ had diverted or commingled customer assets. So the Binance is accusing the SEC of saying public statements that are untrue and are tainting the image and branding of Binance that would go against them in court, especially in front of a jury. And so far, apparently, allegedly, according to Metalamian and others, that Binance's side of this is looking pretty good.
It's a pretty strong case.
Yeah.
Well, that contributes to some of the pressure I think Gensler is feeling right now, and maybe part of the reason he's going to improve that ETF.
Well, think about this, just like the branding of accusations of unethical conduct coming from these lawyers, that will, like, the idea is that will reverberate in the halls of the SEC and the image of the SEC. Is like SEC gets in trouble in the United States court for unethical conduct. And then all the crypto people are like, hey, Gary Gensler's being unethical and bad and mean to us. All of a sudden, it totally legitimizes the entire crypto industry's takes about Gary Gensler.
Well, this is pretty big. Like, a regulator cannot lose its credible neutrality, or else it loses its legitimacy, right? And so I listened to that. I got caught up on the podcast that you recorded while I was out with
Austin.
Who was it, David?
Austin.
Yeah,
So
it's
good.
Fantastic. And he basically said, hey, regulators are kind of serious people. They know they have a reputation, at least most of them, and they can't be seen to pick winners and losers. So if the SEC approves BlackRock's ETF submission because, Gensler goes fishing with Larry Fink or something like that, right? And that comes out and they say no to Van Eck and they say no to the other for just reasons that don't make sense. That is incredibly serious, according to Austin and your episode with him, and is not a light matter. And this is kind of what Binance is alleging, that, well, I guess Gary is picking losers, and it's the entire crypto industry, and targeting Binance is the allegation here. So we'll see what the judge says. We'll see what the jury says in this case.
Up next, creditors are seeking BlockFi liquidation and accusing the CEO, Zach Prince, of fraud and extortion. Damn, those are some big words. Okay, so creditors of BlockFi have filed to liquidate the company's estate, accusing Zach Prince of fraud, dishonesty, incompetence, or gross mismanagement, and delaying bankruptcy proceedings. So the creditors said that it's time to end the extortion tactics, and adding that it is time for debtors, unsecured creditors, to finally know what BlockFi truly was, who Zach Prince truly is, how much he personally profited from the company, and what he and certain of his colleagues were doing when no one was watching. Oof. And then the context here is that with no revenue coming into the company and with the company having compounding losses, creditors argue that the case should proceed as a liquidation, criticizing BlockFi's administrative costs, including the salaries for over 100 individuals who, quote, have nothing better to do but work on their golf game. Oof. Arguing that the debtors are intentionally burning an average of more than $16 million per month merely to augment defensive positions for historical management. Basically saying, okay, the creditors who are owed BlockFi's money, saying, hey, BlockFi is burning all this capital to just argue for their retroactive decisions, and it's not doing anything for the benefit of people who are owed money. So let's liquidate the damn thing. Is the TLDR.
That is dirty.
That's rough.
I remember 2 years ago at this time, BlockFi was one of crypto's darlings. Wow. I'm glad they're seeing their day in court.
I'm gonna kick someone while it's down, so I'm sorry about that. But this is laser-eyed Bitcoiners' version of DeFi, that they just beated their drum, like, we don't need DeFi, we have BlockFi. And then literally the worst example of what a centralized authority can do is what it was.
Yeah. Would have been safer to keep it in smart contracts, I would say. David, we got some big things we're releasing on Bankless this week. What are we looking at here?
We now have a team at Bankless whose job it is to go out and find as many cool perks for Bankless citizens as possible. So we have this leaderboard, this tally board of how much value we can provide to Bankless citizens. We are now up to $1,297 of value for a Bankless citizen membership. So you get a 25% discount to Nascent for a month, 1 month of free usage of QuickNode, 12 months of free access to Zengo MPC wallet, 15% discount for crypto tax calculator, 30% off of permissionless tickets, and more. And more and more, and there's only going to be more. This is our job. We're going to make that number, which is, again, currently, hold us to this, $1,297. The value
number go up.
Number go up. I want $10,000, baby, one day, one day. So this is all the value that you get as a Bankless citizen, and then there are people in the Discord saying, "Hey, we want this," and then we go send our hunters out to go get some of that.
Look, almost $1,300, and it's $1,750 a month, right? That's what we call ROI right there. Right. That's what the perks page is set up to do. David, there's more going on in the Bankless community.
Oh, yes. We got more perks.
What is this?
Bonjour. Bonjour. I do not know French, but I know bonjour. So Tuesday, July 18th, if you are a Bankless citizen, we are having our ETH CC Meetup. This is Meetup number 2. Number 1 was at ETH Denver. It was a raging success. We had free beers because it was Denver, and we love beer in Denver. In France, we love cocktails, so it is at a cozy little cocktail bar. So citizens only for a nice event with all of the Bankless HQ member team members who are going to be there Tuesday, July 18th. So if you are a Bankless citizen, let us know, and we will get you invited.
Okay, so funny story about this picture we're looking at. My wife actually texted me last night while I was on the train from New York, come back home. And she's like, "What is this picture of you? You look like Hitler." I was like, "What?" This is
not what Hitler looks like.
That's what I told her.
Hitler doesn't have glasses.
No, it doesn't have, and the mustache is not at all
right. That's not a Hitler stash at all.
Yeah, deeply offended, but
yeah,
you know.
It is. This is a massive rug though, because you will not be there.
All right, David, what's coming up next?
Coming up next, we got some questions from the nation, followed up by the takes of the week, followed up with David and Ryan are bullish on, and of course, the meme of the week. This one, the meme of the week, has me and Ryan in it, so we're going to talk about all of this and more. But first, a moment to talk about some of these fantastic sponsors that make this show possible. ARBITRUM 1 is pioneering the world of secure Ethereum scalability and is continuing to accelerate the Web3 landscape. Hundreds of projects have already deployed on ARBITRUM 1, producing flourishing DeFi and NFT ecosystems. With the recent addition of ARBITRUM Nova, gaming and social dApps like Reddit are also now calling ARBITRUM home. Both ARBITRUM 1 and Nova leverage the security and decentralization of Ethereum and provide a builder experience that's intuitive, familiar, and fully EVM compatible. On ARBITRUM, both builders and users will experience faster transaction speeds with significantly lower gas fees. With ARBITRUM's recent migration to ARBITRUM Nitro, it's also now 10 times faster than before. Visit arbitrum.io, where you can join the community, dive into the developer docs, bridge your assets, and start building your first dApp. With ARBITRUM, experience Web3 development the way it was meant to be: secure, fast, cheap, and friction-free. If you haven't experienced the superpowers that a smart contract wallet gives you, check out AMBIRE. AMBIRE works with all the EVM chains that are out there, the layer 2s like Arbitrum, Optimism, and Polygon, but also the non-Ethereum chains like Avalanche and Phantom. Because of the power of smart contract wallets, AMBIRE lets you pay for gas in stablecoins, meaning you'll never have to spend your precious ETH again. The web app has numerous fiat on-ramps to make it easy to dump your fiat for crypto, and if you like self-custody but you still want training wheels, you can recover a lost AMBIRE wallet using an email and password, but without giving the AMBIRE team any control over your funds. Check it out at ambire.com for the web app experience, but also the AMBIRE mobile wallet is coming soon for both iOS and Android. And if you want to be a beta tester, you could sign up at ambire.com/app. And since you stayed to the very end of this ad read, you should know that AMBIRE is airdropping its wallet token to early users for simply just using the wallet. So if you want to get started with AMBIRE, all the links that you need are in the show notes.
Question this week from Nick, aka Sheeproy Jenkins. What happens to ETH and ETH L2 price if we head towards a future where anyone can make a blockchain quickly and cheaply for themselves or their companies? Interesting question. So we have all of this excess block space. We were just talking about that earlier in the episode. What happens to ETH price? What happens to L2 price when we have all of this additional block space? It becomes incredibly cheap. What do you think, David?
Do you think in the phrasing of this question that it's actually the implication is that why are these things, Ether and Ether layer 2 tokens, why are these things valuable at all when anyone can make a blockchain quickly and cheaply? Is that the tone of the question?
I think that's part.
What happens when these things are such a commodity that it's just free and cheap and easy to build a blockchain? That's kind of the nature of the question. Is that,
I think that yes, and I think that the wider context of this type of a question is, hey, we're going through a massive paradigm shift of the transaction volume, and the traffic is going to be on layer 2s moving forward. We're going to have a lot of layer 2s, and it's going to be abundant. So what happens to the price of ETH, or even the price of layer 2 tokens, when no one is actually transacting on Ether? Like, are they transacting other places? So I do think that's part of the context. Yeah.
Okay, so I understand the intuition of just like, hey, we're going to get 10,000 chains. Gas is going to be free. There's going to be so much block space that we're not going to be able to fill it all. What happens to Ether and layer 2 prices when fees like basically drop to 0? Layer 1 fees won't drop to 0. There will always be a basal level of demand to transact on the Ethereum layer 1. In fact, I kind of think that like layer 1 fees are not going down. Like the lowest that we see them is like 20 Gwei on average. Like 20 to 50 Gwei, I think is like the lowest it's going to be. Like induced demand will manifest on the layer 2s. But man, like at some point in time, like we can talk about the economics of chains all we want, and how about, does that capture value? How much value does that capture? If it captures too much value, won't we just spin up new chains? At some point, it's just mimetic. If there's 10,000 OP stack chains or 10,000 ZK stack chains, those tokens are going to be valuable. Like just by nature of just the standard being adopted. Like we always try and like, here's a formula for understanding like Ether. Like, sure, but it's just so mimetic and temporal, and people don't understand these things. They just buy. And so my intuition is just like, more chains means number go up. More chains means more economic activity on Ether. People are going to associate economic activity on Ether with Ether price, on Ethereum with Ether price. And so I think when the idea of what happens when anyone can make a blockchain quickly and cheaply for themselves and their companies, if it's easy, if it's a commodity to build and add your chain to the 10,000 chains that are going on Ethereum in the next 5 years, the shelling point becomes Ether, or the layer 2 tech stack standard that is built upon. And so just think about the shelling point and think about the adoption of the technology. If the shelling point grows and it's like this one particular standard is the new way we deploy chains, whatever token that is associated with that is going to go up, not become commoditized. That's my answer.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer, David. I guess I would add a few things. The mental model of what you're investing in, I think, is you're investing in an emerging, growing economy. It's sort of what you're investing in. I think that Ether, in a world where there are many layer 2 chains, Ether cements itself even further as a money, a store of value, a unit of account, a medium of exchange for all of the layer 2s. So Ether, it appears to me, is in pretty good shape. One other thing I would add to this is the question was, what happens to ETH and ETH price when we head towards a future where anyone can make a blockchain quickly? Actually, I would say we've been in that future for a long time. Anybody can make a blockchain quickly. It's just a side chain. You know what I mean? Like it's very easy to spin up a Cosmos chain right now. Like it couldn't be more simple. That doesn't mean the sidechain is more valuable. So we're entering a world where now anybody can make a blockchain that is secured by Ethereum. That is going to be net additive and net good to the Ethereum ecosystem and to Ether, the asset, even more than, obviously much more than sidechains ever were. So you've got that working in your favor. I also think that we're probably going to move to a world where a lot of these assets, ETH included, but particularly layer 2 assets, are valued based on the price people are willing to pay for transaction ordering, right? An MEV. And so that will probably be kind of the non-monetary value basal unit of utility, in addition to the kind of the gas demand and the demand to get your transaction into the block. Remember, MEV is going to be a huge driver of value here. So all in all, feels pretty good. I guess the last thing I'd say is I think you're right, David, when you say the more users you get, the more attention that comes to your ecosystem and on your asset. So if I'm using the Polygon ecosystem, I'm going to be warming up to Matic, right? And so the next time I see Matic, oh, it's Polychain, Polygon, I use Polygon, right? I'm going to probably be more likely to hit that buy button on Matic. And so that also has not necessarily a fundamental kind of like doesn't affect the asset price, the asset fundamentals, but it does increase the asset value. More users is good, and it's hard to deny that. So I guess the answer is number goes up still.
Number goes up.
So there you go, Nick. David, we got some takes of the week. First one from Tyler. What's this look like?
Oh man, this one resonated with me. Tyler Reynolds says, "Truth does not mind being questioned. A lie does not like being challenged." Boy, I wish I had read this tweet in like
20. Why?
Truth does not mind being questioned. Remember when we had the Terra Luna? Is Terra Luna a ticking time bomb? Thumbnail and episode title, and then every single Terra lunatic came in and was like, "You guys are just a bunch of dumb memes, maxis free!" in the YouTube comments.
I do remember this. Yeah. Yes.
And it's like, man, I wish I had this as like a mental model to like lean back on. It's like, hey, if I'm just like perhaps voicing a critique and I'm getting a torrent of toxicity my way, it's because truth.
It's a very bad sign.
It's a very bad sign. It's coming from a place of insecurity. And so I think this is something just like, hey, if you are giving out legitimate takes and you're getting toxicity in return, maybe you should look at why those reasons are toxic in the first place.
David, I've got a take for you.
Yeah, you do.
I think I'm ready to capitulate.
Yeah, you
are. All right. So
you
ETH price about this time last year was just like dipping into 3-digit territory. I think it dipped like twice, right? One for like a period of days or something, and then there was another brief leg down around this time. Ever since then, I have been thinking we would get back to triple-digit ETH. And there's a period of time where it was like, trading at 1100s, 1200s. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? It's going to kick in. The apathy market's going to kick in, right? And people are going to be like, why do, like, I'm getting restless. I'm going to sell my Ether, and we'll see a dip down to triple-digit ETH. And then, you know what we saw? So we saw FTX absolutely explode. And ETH did not dip down during that event into triple-digit ETH territory. And I remember telling you, David, it's like, you're like, like you buying big here? I was like, yeah, I'm still waiting for triple-digit ETH. All right, I'm ready to capitulate on that. Yeah. I don't think we'll see triple-digit ETH again. I don't think it'll happen.
Okay? Bear market's over.
All right. Maybe I'm just tempting the crypto gods, because if it does hit triple-digit, I'm backing that truck up. But FTX couldn't do it. The bank crisis that we saw in the first quarter of this year couldn't do it.
Well, not only could it not do it, I mean, it was bullish.
Apathy market can't do it. So at this point, I feel ready to capitulate. And you might have won that one, David. Is that you? This is David Hoffman replying to my tweet. Man, that's a lot of words just to say David was right.
I'm so mean to you.
Nice.
That's great.
Now you're nice to me this week. It was, my flight was canceled and I had a place to co-work.
Yeah, that's true. That was fun.
What do we got here?
Okay. So this.
Oh, that. Speaking of which,
yeah,
that's you and I.
Okay, so we took this screenshot because we were about to record a podcast with Raoul Paul, and so I was like, "This is hilarious. Let me take a screen capture of this, and I'll post it." And like, even people in our company was like, "That's a doctored photograph. Ryan's faking that photo. He's not actually in David's apartment." And then this is Michael Wong's meme. This is just a deep nostalgic millennial meme of Jimmy Neutron and Timmy Turner from Nickelodeon Cartoon Network. Oh, I'm failing as a millennial. Anyways, it's the crossover episode where Timmy Turner and Jimmy Neutron are illustrated like each other. God, I'm butchering this. Anyways, I thought it was funny.
Yeah, it was great to appear in the flesh. We got 3 episodes.
Never would I thought possible.
Yeah, in person. So we did that.
One thing I learned is actually you don't drink as much coffee as I thought that you did.
Oh, did I disappoint you?
Yeah,
I do when I I make like at least a pot at home, and I make a second pot in the afternoon. I'm guzzling all morning, right. But I didn't want it because I had coffee in the mornings. I was bringing to your place. I could get that. I didn't want to make you do coffee all day. You make it by the cup, don't you?
Yeah, I have a little espresso machine.
Let
me tell you, people who have espresso machines
fetch my coffee all day.
People who have espresso machines love making espresso. I will tell you this.
There's a little process.
Would you have liked to
right?
make me more coffee?
Yeah, it's like because like you want like, oh, this one's kind of acidic. It's like, oh, I need that feedback so I can improve my coffee making style.
I'm not gonna come over to your
place.
It
is a privilege to be made coffee by David Hoffman. Let me tell you.
Well, that's true. I enjoy that privilege. It's fantastic coffee. I'm back to my old just drip pot coffee. And
pour over in a paper filter inside of a Chemex.
No, dude, I don't even do that. I'm just like
push
the button.
Drip coffee?
I grind my beans. At least I do that. But then I just push the button. Yeah.
Okay.
It's drip. That's how primitive I am.
So it's pretty primitive, bro.
Yeah.
When I'm go to the mountains, this is my last weekly roll up for 2 weeks, by the way. So you and Anthony are coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this okay? Is this what you're bullish on, by the way, when we get to that? Because you're climbing 3 mountains.
Three mountains. 2 mountains over the next 10 days. But the point why this is connects to coffee is I'm bringing freshly ground coffee in my AeroPress. If Bankless Nation, if you don't know what an AeroPress is, AERO-press, yeah. And so I'm gonna have my lovely coffee out at like 12,000 feet up. Yeah. So
it makes great coffee.
It does.
In fact, I think it's some of the best coffee I've had. Yours notwithstanding, my friend. Actually, can I just pull up this tweet? Because I saw this. This came up in my feed yesterday. 7 days until Baker's, 12 days until Rainier. Did I say that right? Rainier?
No, you did not. Rainier, yeah.
Rainier. 32 days until Matterhorn. These are the mountains you're climbing?
Yeah.
What's this one?
That one's Rainier. That one's special because I grew up in Seattle, and so you can see that one from Seattle, and so I would look at that mountain almost every single day of my life, and now I get to go climb it.
And you're doing that. You're starting that next week, right?
Yes. Tomorrow I leave for Seattle. Going to go hang out with my nephew and family for 5 days. Hang out with them for the 4th, and then Wednesday at 6:30 a.m. there's a gear check. Make sure I brought all the right gear so I don't die, and then we go to Baker.
Wow, David.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Well, on behalf of myself,
I'm actually I go to bed lately, and I'm like, I'm kind of stressed. I'm sitting in bed. I'm like, oh man, that's a lot of climbing.
The first one looks daunting to me, and then they just get harder.
Yeah, bro. It's so
Look at
cool.
that. What is that? Are you saying
that's the Matterhorn? That's not a very good picture of the Matterhorn, but yes, okay. So Baker and Rainier is nice because if you fall, you just get back up. You just fall in snow. On the Matterhorn, you can't fall.
Okay. On behalf of the entire Bankless Nation, just come back. Okay.
Come back.
Yeah,
I pay money to make to guides to make sure I come back. It's somebody's job to make sure I come back, and it's not me.
Wow, that is somewhat comforting. You're doing some training going into this too.
Oh,
right?
I spent 6.5 hours on the treadmill, stair stepper last weekend. That was my weekend.
All right. Well, be safe. Be safe. What are you bullish on?
I'm bullish on frontier technologies. And so throwing it back to Zuzalu content. If you only watch one bit of Zuzalu content, make it the intro and perhaps also the full interview of Vitalik.
With this guy right
so
here?
I write there's a video essay of me giving you the account of Zuzalu, the significance of it, what it is, and what my biggest takeaways. So if you want to just get these quickest TLDR, watch the Vitalik interview or just the 10 minutes of my video essay at the very beginning. And that will give you everything that you need to know. I was listening to it because I hadn't listened to it in a while. And I was like, okay, yes, this came out the way that I wanted it to. And so I'm just bullish on frontier technologies. What are frontier technologies? Like AI, longevity, decentralized science, synthetic biology, public goods, ZK cryptography. And the line that I give is Ethereum is the eldest, most mature sibling of a bunch of frontier technologies. It grew up sooner than the rest of them. AI is now coming of age. These other frontier technologies are still trying to figure out how to stand up. So Ethereum is the eldest sibling that's alone in this room, fighting with its parents, the regulators, the nation states. And it doesn't have any other frontier technologies to support it because it's alone. But all of those frontier technologies, like AI, longevity, synthetic biology, network states, they're also going to need support from their siblings because the incumbents aren't going to accept them and legitimize them. So
I was reflecting on this too. It's some of the challenges that we've seen in crypto. I mean, you look at AI right now.
Same thing.
Regulators. Yep. What are regulators going to do? What is the right regulatory posture? And then there's also some critiques of, the AI companies right now, the big ones, engaging in regulatory capture, right? It's a problem crypto has as well. How do we make sure the big centralized service providers or banks don't completely own this thing? Regulatory capture. It's a similar set of concerns. And yeah, crypto has been on the forefront of that. So AI, I guess, is going to face them as well.
Yeah, so that's what I'm bullish on. Frontier technologies. Ryan, what are you bullish on?
Rollups, man. There's been like a rollup explosion. I feel like in terms of infrastructure, we getting cheap block space here. So we had the announcement of zkSync's ZK stack, of course, and it just seems like every rollup has a strategy here. So ZK stack, OP stack, Polygon, ARBITRUM. I'm just looking forward to a world when we have cheap bandwidth, transaction bandwidth, and anybody can spin up their own chain. This is kind of like the days of the internet where anybody could spin up their own blog, or anybody could spin up their own server and host their own website. I think it's going to unleash a massive wave of innovation that, again, we still need the apps. We can't see those yet, but now we have cheap block space. And I think we're going to live in a world of many, many chains, thousands, tens of thousands of chains. I'm just excited about all of the work that's getting done in the build market, as we've called it.
You know what I'm excited about?
What?
All of the layer 2 thesis that we didn't exactly become in as a podcast, as like a media platform, wasn't accepted in 2021 because it was all about the alt layer 1s. What is showing strength in the bear market? Layer 2s. Layer 2s. And that to me is signal. If you can show strength in a bear market, what do you think you can do in a bull market? And so that's what gets me excited.
It's so hard to get traction in the bear market, is what you're saying. I think the communities that survive will thrive.
Yes,
in the next bull cycle, which is happening when? Starting now?
We are in Schrodinger's market now.
Okay.
Next year is the bull market. It's scheduled.
Good book.
I scheduled it.
Full circle.
It's on my calendar.
It's on your calendar. No mountain climbing next year, David?
Oh, no, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, mountain climb during the bear market.
Yeah, that's right. All right, ready for meme of the week?
Yeah, meme of the week. What are we looking at?
Here we go. This isn't exactly a meme, but this is funny. I thought it was funny. So Ryan was co-working at my place in Brooklyn. And so he was over there just like in my kitchen counter island thing. And instead of like turning around and speaking to me, he would just send me messages in Discord. He's like, hey, what do you think about this?
It has the context. You had your headphones in. I didn't want to disrupt you. That's how we always speak. I'm not used to actually talking to you in person.
The one time you can just turn around and like speak words. You're like, nah, Discord, bro.
Thanks for the coffee, though. It was fun. Guys, we'll end with this. Of course, gotta let you know, none of this has been financial advice. It never is on Bankless. It's not even frontier technology advice. So David gave us a lot of content from Zuzalu this week. Crypto is risky. You could definitely lose what you put in, but we are headed west. This is the frontier. It's not for everyone, but we're glad you're with us on the Bankless journey. Thanks a lot.